instead of a cap on her head, Miss Forster related a curious little fact to Lady Glenmire, an anecdote known to the circle of her intimate friends, but of which even Miss Jameson was not aware. It related to some fine old lace, the sole relic of better days, which Lady Glenmire was admiring on Miss Forster's collar. "Yes," said that lady, "such lace cannot be got now for either love or money, made by the nuns abroad, they tell me. They say that they can't make it now even there. But perhaps they can, now they've passed the Catholic Emancipation Bill. I should not wonder, but in the meantime I treasure up my lace very much. I don't even trust the washing of it to my maid, the little charity schoolgirl I have named before, but who sounded well as my maid. I always washed it myself, and once it had a narrow escape. Of course, your ladyship knows that such lace must never be starched or ironed. Some people wash it in sugar and water, and some in coffee, to make it the right yellow color, but I myself have very good receipt for washing it in milk, which stiffens it enough and gives it very good creamy color. Well, ma'am, I had tacked it together, and the beauty of this fine lace is that, when it is wet, it goes into a very little space, and put it to soak in milk, when unfortunately I left the room. On my return, I found Pussy on the table, looking very like a thief, but gulping very uncomfortably, as if she was half choked with something she wanted to swallow and could not. And would you believe it? At first I pitied her, and said, "Poor Pussy," till all at once I looked and saw the cup of milk empty, cleaned out. "You naughty cat," said I, and I believe I was provoked enough to give her a slap, which did no good, but only helped the lace down, just as one slaps a choking child on the back. I could have cried, I was so vexed, but I determined I would not give the lace up without struggle for it. I hoped the lace might disagree with her, at any rate, but it would have been too much for Job if he had seen, as I did, that cat come in, quite placid and purring, not a quarter of an hour after, and almost expecting to be stroked. "No, Pussy," said I, "if you have any conscience, you ought not to expect that." And then a thought struck me, and I rang the bell for my maid, and sent her to Mr. Hoggins with my compliments, and would he be kind enough to lend me one of his top boots for an hour. I did not think there was anything odd in the message, but Jenny said the young men in the surgery laughed as if they would be ill at my wanting a top boot. When it came, Jenny and I put Pussy in, with her 4 feet straight down, so that they were fastened and could not scratch, and we gave her a teaspoon of currant jelly in which, your ladyship must excuse me, I had mixed some tartar emetic. I shall never forget how anxious I was for the next half hour. I took Pussy to my own room and spread a clean towel on the floor. I could have kissed her when she returned the lace to sight, very much as it had gone down. Jenny had boiling water ready, and we soaked it and spread it on a lavender bush in the sun before I could touch it again, even to put it in milk. But now your ladyship would never guess that it had been in Pussy's inside. We found out in the course of the evening that Lady Glenmire was going to pay Miss Jameson a long visit, as she had given up her apartment in Edinburgh, and had no ties to take her back there in a hurry. On the whole, we were rather glad to hear this, for she had made a pleasant impression upon us, and it was also very comfortable to find, from things which dropped out in the course of conversation, that, in addition to many other genteel qualities, she was far removed from the vulgarity of wealth. "Don't you find it very unpleasant walking?" asked Miss Jameson, as our respective servants were announced. It was a pretty regular question from Miss Jameson, who had her own carriage in the coach-house, and always went out in a sedan chair to the very shortest distance. The answers were nearly as much a matter of course. "Oh dear, no. It is so pleasant and still at night. Such a refreshment after the excitement of a party. The stars are so beautiful." This last was from Miss Matty. "Are you fond of astronomy?" Lady Glenmire asked. "Not very," replied Miss Matty, rather confused at the moment to remember which was astronomy and which was astrology. But the answer was true under either circumstance, for she read and was slightly alarmed at Francis Moore's astrological predictions, and as to astronomy, in a private and confidential conversation, she had told me she never could believe that the earth was moving constantly, and that she would not believe it if she could. It made her feel so tired and dizzy whenever she thought about it. In our patterns, we picked our way home with extra care that night. So refined and delicate were our perceptions after drinking tea with my lady.